It's officially that time of year where everyone is trying to step into a brand new version of themselves and trying to hold themselves accountable throughout the process. And of course, we can't have this conversation without talking about rebranding and really stepping into kind of this whole new look, which is very common for female founders. But as someone who's worked on probably over 100 rebrands before 30, I see so many mistakes that female founders make that end up costing them money, having them rebranding over and over again, or ending up with a rebrand that they don't really love or can't even use ongoing in their marketing throughout the year. As we've seen, some of the biggest brands have been rebranding lately to cater to their current audience, to cater to the current market. And so it can be one of the most profitable business moves you can make, not only for the next month, but also for the next couple of years. So we're going to talk about some obvious and not so obvious mistakes that I see female founders make every single month as they think about rebranding and going into a rebrand process, and why this ultimately becomes a decision that hurts their business instead of making it extremely more profitable. If you're new, welcome to the channel. My name is Jasmine. I lead the creative agency trusted by hundreds of female founders that together have collected over $50 million in revenue with us. So before we dive into some of the mistakes and our unique approach, I want to talk about what is an actual rebrand, because I think so many times we see influencers or creators or even big brands rebrand, but sometimes it's actually not that much of a rebrand like we think it is. I think when we think of a rebrand, we think of someone just stepping into something extremely new and extremely fresh, but it's not just about stepping into that new identity. It's also making sure all of your visuals and of course your strategy is also changing along the way. So even if you've never branded professionally before, you can still go through a rebrand. It's an opportunity for a business to completely reposition itself so that it can increase its revenue and its reputation. This looks like changing their website. This looks like changing their brand identity. This looks like changing their brand strategy. This looks like changing the way that they market in order to cater to what they're currently wanting. And so a couple of reasons why brands even rebrand to begin with. Number one, they feel like their sales are stagnant regardless of what activities they're doing to increase their sales. Number two, they're trying to reposition themselves either to a new niche or they want to expand to cater to a new type of audience. Because so many brands right now are trying to cater to younger demographics like Gen Z or Gen Alpha, or even just trying to keep up with current market trends, that required them to kind of think about their brand in a new way and actually reposition their business. Which brings me to a follow-up reason, which is your community, your audience is just disengaged right now, regardless of what you're posting, how you're posting, the content ideas you're coming up with. Sometimes it's not the strategy. Sometimes it is the aesthetics, and it's actually who you are as a brand. That needs to be completely reworked and repositioned so that you can figure out how to speak to your audience right now. And of course, the most important reason why you should rebrand sometimes is because you're creating a brand new offer, a brand new product, a brand new service, and you want to make sure that your reputation withholds that standard when you're creating this offer. Some of our most successful clients that actually come out with the most profitable rebrands are ones that announce their rebrand and then market something new shortly after. This rebrand can also carry them into dozens of campaigns that they can create throughout the year, and they know that it'll still be cohesive. They can come up with so many ideas. They have so many new fresh assets that it actually leverages their marketing. So those are all the reasons why you should think about rebranding to begin with. If you're someone that has sales that are stagnant or declining, your audience is disengaged, you want to be recognized for a new offer or a repositioned version of your offer that you're creating, or you feel like you want to expand and reach new audiences. So here's where I find female founders usually get things wrong. Now, I know as female founders, we love a good DIY. We can figure anything else out. We can watch tutorials and we can make it work. But there's only so long that you can work in business actually piecing together one thing at a time. So a big reason why I see rebrands fall flat is because they're working on the branding by itself. They're working on the photo shoot by itself. They're working on the website by itself. They're working on the marketing strategy by itself. They're not working with a creative agency like ours that actually does full scope rebrand, or one agency that's in charge of that full scope rebrand. They not only can think about that big picture vision, they know how to execute it everywhere. It's kind of like playing telephone. When you're working on brand design with somebody and then working on a website with somebody else and then working on a photo shoot at a different period in time, not only will you have different strategies or different approaches to each one, but you'll also work with several people who have different approaches and different strategies to each one. And then it's a matter of communicating, again, like playing telephone. It's communicating your ideas to one person versus the other when all of them can understand it in a completely different way. Of course, being creative is also very subjective. And so sometimes what can be a very fun, playful brand can look one way to one designer and one way to another. So this is why I recommend, instead of just playing with your color palette, instead of mood boarding with nothing else to make out of it, instead of updating just one thing on your website, you actually think about the overall rebrand you want to create and work with someone who can actually bring that entire vision to life. Number two is female founders often wait way too long to rebrand and money is lost because of it, because they're waiting to come up with the perfect vision. They think that one night they're just going to dream up their ideal rebrand and then finally be ready to work with someone. Every single female founder we have worked with has said, I kid you not, I should have probably done this years ago. And that's because they end up taking way too long, waiting for the right time, waiting for their calendar to be empty, waiting for the right opportunity, and again, waiting for that vision to come to mind. When in reality, if you're working with a creative director like myself, my entire job is to come up with that vision for you. My entire job is to translate your vague ideas and put them into assets you can actually see. There are so many times where female founders fill out our form or think that they weren't being specific enough, but they actually give us enough information via text that then we can translate into colors, we can translate into a photo shoot concept, we can translate into a website. And then they're floored because they were like, I would have never thought of that. And we don't expect you to. This is again why you would want to work with a professional. Number 3, the issues that I see is taking your rebrand too literally and you're not getting creative enough. I cannot tell you how frustrated I get every time I see a female founder announce her big rebrand and either number 1, like I said earlier, they just changed one thing, they're not changing the whole thing, or number 2, it is way too literal. I'm talking about it is exactly translating to your niche. So if you're in the health and wellness space, I'm seeing you carry fruit and eating a salad. If you're in the business space, you're in a studio holding a coffee mug or working on a laptop. If you're in the design space, you're putting up mood boards and client work. And so it's maybe okay to do that sometimes as part of some specific campaigns if it's intentional and there's so many other creative elements around there. But when it comes to a rebrand, this is your moment to capitalize on getting attention. And so you need to really think about creative ideas outside the box and aren't just directly correlated with your niche. And you might be thinking, well, okay, Jasmine, but how will people know I am in this niche? And the thing is, they will be able to tell that you're in this niche because of your content, because of the copy on your website, because of every other experience that they'll partake in. But when it comes to visuals, you want to have a little bit of depth and be a little bit more creative, because guess what? If you want to be the celebrity of your niche, you actually have to stand out and do things differently. And I guarantee you, everyone else in your industry is thinking the exact same way. This is why sometimes even going on Pinterest and just typing up those basic keywords and using those top keywords as a rebrand strategy won't work in the long term. And the way we pull this out for clients is thinking about not just who they are and who they want to be, but what is the feelings that they want to put out, who their audience is, what is the perception of their audience when facing this rebrand. And of course, we never want the perception to be, I've seen that before, I've seen so-and-so do it. We want it to be, this is so you, which is the number 1 compliment our clients get when they rebrand with us. The other mistake I see is female founders end up rebranding every 6 months, every 3 months, every year, because it wasn't done the first time, because they played the telephone game and tried to patchwork things all together, because their rebrand was too literal and it wasn't creative enough, because their rebrand wasn't also rooted in a marketing strategy. It's extremely important that when you're thinking about a rebrand, you're not just thinking about that one day you're going to reveal your new website and cut a ribbon. How is this going to impact the ideas that I put out with my marketing overall, the emails that I'm writing, how people perceive me, the copy that I write, even just the unique selling points that I can take to leverage myself as a brand. And so people aren't thinking enough about the campaign strategy that follows the rebrand, which is where the money truly lies. And this is why I see a lot of female founders make that initial announcement and then wonder why clients aren't coming to them. Now, I know rebranding can be so exciting with the aesthetics, with the newness, with the photo shoot, the glitz, the glam, everything, but it's really important that you actually figure out how your rebrand actually converts. And so the biggest way that we do this for clients is actually through the website process. It's not just making sure that the website looks pretty, but the website actually can convert cold or warm leads regardless of where they're finding our client. This looks like making sure that your pages where you're selling your offers or selling your services and products are actually outlining enough information, not just to make an aesthetic presence, but to actually answer questions that people have before getting to work with you. It's very common that I see the approach to this is taken a little bit too surface level or beginner, and they're only focused on speaking in a very basic way, and they're not speaking enough to kind of their rebrand angles, their rebrand selling points. And it's probably because if you're patchworking this, you don't even have those to begin with, so you have nothing to work off of. So the real ROI of a rebrand, when a rebrand is truly done right, should bring you the most profitable year in business yet. It shouldn't just make you proud or make you feel excited about your new look. It should also help you step into an elevated version of yourself as a female founder so that you get to show up in a way that you haven't before, while also having the assets that complement that in your strategies so that you you can actually make money. It's not just thinking about the reveal day, but thinking about all of the campaigns you'll run after. A profitable and converting rebrand should also highlight a signature style unique to you where people can instantly say, this is so you, I haven't seen someone do that before. And of course, at the end of the day, a rebrand is only as powerful as the campaign that follows it. So you can get a feel of how to build your next campaign strategy with our campaign crash course. The link for that is in the show notes. And of course, I hope this was helpful in helping you decide if rebranding should be on the horizon for you in 2026. And just a quick heads up, if you haven't rebranded ever before, or you haven't rebranded at least in the last 3 years, odds are you're due for a little bit of a makeover.